back, everybody, to the Byzantian Brewscast podcast. I hope you're all doing fantastic.
Yeah. It's a
Brewscast
we're back again. It's
podcast. I
been
hope you're all doing
an interesting
fantastic.
and busy 2 weeks. You
Ah,
went to the car show.
yep. Again, it's been a time. Was it
You can say that about any time, really.
it was
It
one
has
of the
technically been a
times of all
time.
time. So it was in Henley and Stratford. Not Stafford as I first thought, but Henley and Stratford. So again, quite a bit in the middle of sort of nowhere, sort of, but again, rather nice because it's a bit more of an affluent, I say affluent kind of thing. I mean, there were two Ferraris there compared to the previous
Okay.
shows, like none. There was a GTO
Is that
and
how you can judge like the sort of richness of the car show if the Ferrari show up?
yeah, probably pretty much. I mean, like classic Ferraris in particular, probably quite expensive now.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But first time I get to see a GTO up close. Ah, such beautiful looking cars. I still prefer the F40, but the GTO is.
I think
That's what.
everyone has like a favorite car that they know isn't that practical, but it's
Yeah,
just nice.
I think the GTO is where
Uh,
they started doing, the famous sort of side scoops for air intakes.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
I like the Firebird. No, it can't have
the
two
Pontiac.
corners,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it just looks nice.
Just a nice car, mate.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been yeah, I had another charity event down Sutton Park, so got
nice.
my exercise in already,
Good, good.
and that and well, apart from scaring a few dogs, things went all right.
hmm
Happens every time. Yeah. Oh, what's been going on in the world of tabletop games this week or fortnight?
So I haven't done a lot of tabletopping stuff because it kind of slows down tabletopping stuff in my experience in the summer because everyone still wants to be out and about rather than at a table, particularly
Yeah,
in this
okay.
weather. I don't fancy being really sweaty whilst behind a DM screen.
Fair enough.
But I've been
Fair enough.
playing I've been playing a lot
Mhm.
of Master Duel lately.
I, I've I've been doing my quote unquote homework, as it were, and getting on
Mm-hmm.
Masterduel with limited success. I'm definitely losing a lot more than I'm winning, but that's sort of expected.
Yeah. Have you been trying out the solo mode?
Yep.
Yeah, that's where you really want to sort of
Yeah.
start. I don't play
Yeah, that's
ranked that much because for a few
people are
reasons.
absurd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I've I've been trying out a few of the structured decks at the moment, just until I get enough of my own like random pack cards to know what I'm on about.
hmm
I'm trying out some of the structure stuff, and because I want to do something actually new, I trying to get friendly with synchro stuff
Cool.
because it could have just gone with the Blue Eyes deck again, and I did technically buy the Blue Eyes Max one
Uh-huh.
just to try it out. But I figured if I'm gonna try and get good at Master Duels in any way, I'm going to try a new format. So
hmm
for me, synchro is actually relatively new.
Yeah, and there are some really high power synchro decks that are still relevant.
It's not what I want to do with custom deck. Honestly, I want to get into modern dinosaur decks.
Hmm.
Let's have some fun with that.
Yeah,
But I need the cards from
dinosaurs.
the packs yet.
Yeah, dinosaurs have things like I think is it soul eating Oviraptor and things like that now. Some like seriously good new
Yes,
support.
another is some support for that. So that's the idea when it can get access to the packs, of course.
Yeah.
But
Well, the easiest way
now
of
I'm
doing
trying out.
that is
Yeah,
if you search up dinosaur in the search thing. I'm building a deck, and then if you
yeah.
find one that's an super rare and ultra rare that and you check how to obtain, and if it shows a
Yeah.
locked dinosaur pack, if you craft one that's super or ultra rare that's from that pack, it will unlock that pack and give you a free pack.
Oh, okay.
So you
I
can
will. I
if you get some random ultras and supers you're not going to use, scrap them down and make something from a dinosaur
Well,
pack, and then
yeah.
you'll unlock that pack to use for a day or two, and you'll get a free pack as well. If it's your
I'll
first
take that.
time, if it's your
Uh,
first time crafting something from a pack, basically, if it's your first time crafting something that's super ultra from a particular pack, you get a free pull. You get a free pack each time.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll look into that because I'm still literally learning the ropes with it.
Uh huh.
Not hating it, but I'm definitely having mixed success
Yeah.
even with the solo stuff. Because again, it's a card game. Sometimes you get
Mm.
a dud hand, but
Yeah.
I didn't I don't mind the the Blue Eyes Max decks. Honestly, quite fun. Bit
Hmm.
weird, but it's a high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
So I have actually been enjoying being on the receiving end of that
Hmm.
because I like Blue Eyes White Dragon anyway because that's kind
It's
of
iconic.
that was the it was the meta at the time when I
Yeah.
was playing really. But the fact there's like several versions of it that all count as the same card,
Hmm.
it's actually it's kind of fun. Especially what there's a disgusting trap card in that as well. Basically so you could attach it to a blue eyes white dragon, anything with the name officially as that,
Yeah.
and it's immune to trap effects and effects in general.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It is kind of disgusting, but again, it's high risk, high reward, which I quite like to be fair.
Hmm. Another funny thing you
But
can
yeah,
do with that, if you get the right stuff for it, is it also that version of that deck I know they like to run. I think it's Mirror Force Dragon or something like Tyrant Burst Dragon or something like that,
oh my
which
god,
is just like immune to trap guards by itself. It's kind of annoying to deal with. It's like, what are you doing? Haha, funny. Just unaffected by traps, so you can run like traps which would otherwise potentially be detrimental to you as well, and not care because of this one card because it just doesn't care.
oh yeah.
I love doing
And
that.
I kind of found out just how broken Blue Eyes Dragon Jet is.
Yeah, Blue Eyes White Dragon Jet
That's not
is
fun.
it's relatively new
Oh,
card.
sorry,
That's
but
why it's kind of busted.
I'll just right get the door quick. Won't be a
Yep.
second.
I'll just fill time and talk about geese, like really nice geese, for like half a minute. Fuck, this is a lot harder than I thought. A honk. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Everybody's dead, Dave. Everybody is dead, Dave. Whilst my co-host is away from the table, so to speak, um, yeah, yeah, I think he should try Manadium. Yeah, he should try Manadium sometime. What's the Synchro stuff? Manadium, the new Synchro summoning mechanic. Everybody spam that meme in the comments below in the YouTube video. Whatever the tagline was, it was like an advert for Manadium. It was really stupid.
And back. Just
Hello, welcome
open the
back.
door.
Welcome back.
Right. So, what's first order of the day?
We are going to we're going to do our critical fumble first for a change.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
Because that slightly different format this week because we've decided to shake things up a bit.
What's this? So, I do. Yeah, got one. So, remember how the whole Henry Cavill 40k series is going a bit probably not happening lately.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor that they're thinking about doing a different series, working with Amazon to do another animated show for 40k stuff,
Uh-huh.
which seems a bit like a they're giving to they're offering what people weren't really asking for.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing as well, which I'm not sure if it counts as critical fumble. They are re-releasing or at least redoing a lot of the old dwarf sculpts for Age of Sigmar.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like the classic 2006 and older era dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
But people are kind of worried that what they're going to do is just give them like the modern pricing structure.
Yeah.
But that could be like a mistake in the making if they're going to do that, because they're worried they will, because it's Games Workshop pricing.
Yeah. Oh, here, just pay like I don't know, 30 for something that was previously 20, and we've barely changed the molds at all. I'm
Hmm.
still upset about that with the whole clan rats thing. And now they're doing, I think, new clan rat molds, but still, it's like, why? Why am I paying extra for basically the same miniatures?
Yeah, I think it thing's a little bit extra if you're playing a big horde army,
Yeah.
like the escape. You're paying a lot of money for a box of 10,
Yeah.
as it is. But when you actually put them on the tabletop, they last about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Ugh. So, my critical fumble, it's Wizards again, surprisingly.
Hey, they're back.
Technically, it's more Hasbro's this. Technically, it's more Hasbro this time. I guess Wizards doesn't really have
Whoa.
a say in this. So Hasbro have
Right.
announced who's going to be president of Wizards of the Coast and digital
Yep.
gaming. John Haidt. Um,
I have heard about this.
yeah. So previously served as senior VP and general manager of the Warcraft franchise at Blizzard, and we all know what Blizzard's been up to over the past couple of years, and the various scandals. So
Yes, that would be interesting.
I don't have high hopes for him, to be honest. I can't see how he could possibly be worse than Cynthia Williams, but to be fair, I've said I can't possibly see how X person can be worse than X person in a variety of different fields, and I've always been proven wrong lately. So we'll see.
I would be on the lookout for artwork with giant shoulder pads going forward. D&D.
You know, if I wouldn't actually mind art with giant shoulder pads. That I think that'd be quite funny.
I mean, like 90s giant shoulder pads, though.
Oh, ooh, yikers.
That was weird in my first thought. But what I'm going to see is a load of images of orcs that look like the weird new mod, like the weird ones from the new Player's Handbook, where
Hmm.
they're meant to look like really stereotypical Hispanic people,
Yeah.
or they're going to look like the classic World of Warcraft orcs with massive shoulder pads that would look ridiculous.
Yeah. It's gonna look like.
Then again, the art style's already changed, so
Yeah, I
yeah,
suppose.
there's a yeah.
It gets to the point where things change so much and things go so weird and off the ball. You get to the point like, do we even fucking care anymore? You've already like jumped the shark. I'm now just not interested. I'm not even upset anymore. I'm just apathetic.
There's a reason a lot of my anything D&D has been the third party.
Yeah.
I genuinely think a lot of the third party stuff is just formatted better, just written better.
Hmm.
The art design team, they because it's a small operation, they seem to have a more focused vision on what they want out of it.
Yeah.
Like with well, I think part of it is because they're using AI for profit. I'm very much those people that I get why people are skeptical of AI,
Hmm.
but I use it purely for jokes and gimmicks. I would never dream of making like I'd never dream of using it en masse to make real money,
No.
because then it's not, because it's it's the principle of AI is doing it for you. You're not making anything yourself.
Yeah, it's like if you're making something that's like a meme or like a proof of concept thing
Yeah.
to see if it
Yes.
works vaguely in a ballpark, fine. If you're using it to try and be professional or like, make money or using it in a commercial or like advertising kind of setting or whatever, if you're trying to gain popularity
Yeah.
or money out of it, go fuck yourself, basically.
Hmm. I've seen that's they've gone that 3 times now. That saying, "Oh, we don't use AI art," and then they've
Yep.
been caught with the weird hands and stuff,
Yep.
which at the moment that still means AI is probably involved. But I'm not give it a few years. I don't know if that'll be the same.
Yeah.
Like I think using some evolving music AI just for the fun of it. I think the next biggest thing AI is going to have to contend with is um, words and getting that to look like you can get an image site even now for free to say generate a sign saying no swimming, and it will still have like swonioming or something.
Nushquimu.
Yeah, yeah, that would be the next big hurdle that I can see AI getting over in a few years.
Yeah. So funny you
And
mention AI and the
faces,
ethics of it
kind of.
because
Mhm.
I'm actually I said giving a talk. So I'm talking to some big people in the Department of Work and some pensions tomorrow, actually, about the ethics of AI
Oh,
and employment stuff to do with like art and design and
okay.
things like that. So that I get basically, my work coach said to me basically something along the lines of, "You get to complain at them effectively." It's like,
Oh,
yeah,
enjoy that.
I get to have a right proper strop about fucking AI taking my jobs.
See, for that is a worry for some jobs though. I do
Mm.
get it.
It's weird, it's wild though, when
Um,
we thought sort of like 10, 15 years ago, we were thinking AI would, automate the boring jobs like self-serve checkouts and manufacturing. I mean, it does that. Not so we'd have more time to do artistic pursuits, things like that. But now it's like, nah, we're going to automate the art and make people do the boring jobs. Like, what the fuck? How did we wind up
the weird
somehow
thing
having
I've
the
spotted,
worst possible timeline?
the weird thing I've spotted with that is that while some of the in retail, while some of the entry level jobs been completely automated in some places,
Hmm.
there have been some parts of the US where they've done that and tried to fully automate it, and it's been deemed so unpopular or so expensive to run the machines, they just decided to go back to like
Oh,
mostly human led.
interesting.
That's not been absolute.
Oh.
It surprises me. Although what we're looking forward to is when when there's a lot of like manager level positions. I think a lot of them feel safe and secure in the fact that they have those positions.
Yeah.
But when you look at the spec of what a manager does, is there really much saying you can't replace a manager with an AI?
Yeah, honestly.
That's when it's get really interesting.
I see it.
Over that. Yes. Sorry, just wanted to check something. Sorry, be back in a sec.
Okay, no. Uh, I wonder if I'd like replaced myself with an AI. I wonder if our co-host would notice. I could do the old like the Vinny joke, AI generated podcast content. Replace myself with an AI. It's just a goose to make various honking noises. Maybe that's what I should do. Analog AI replacement. Just replace myself with an actual literal goose that I picked from the park. See if anybody notices. Uh,
Sorry about that.
sorry.
Pulse, wrong number.
Ah.
Just checking the stuff because I find out if I get a job uh, tomorrow. So
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
yes,
So, um,
yeah. So which is a Hasbro's bought it again.
yep.
Uh,
Asper's botched it again as usual.
and Games Workshop might be overpricing some classic wolves. So we've got to find out.
It's like everything. It seems like that neither of those companies ever seems to learn their lesson.
Now, I think what needs to happen is we need like proper competition for them.
Hmm. Right.
I mean, there's element games, but
Yeah.
you know,
So, homebrew of the week, since we're probably going to be doing this weekly now rather than bi-weekly, because I think we have a lot more homebrew stuff than either of us have books. So,
that's very true. That's very true, and I've been constantly tinkering
plus
with
it's a bit
things.
weird to call something homebrew of the week and it not be weekly.
No, that's fair. I mean, I can pick and choose a bit.
Yeah.
Um, right, is it now a good time to do an announcement that we were thinking of opening the floor up for a theme or idea that our lovely listeners get a pick on?
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Just Jake had honestly a pretty good idea for that because we can do our own stuff pretty much all day, every day, as long as we got time to write. But if any people listening, we have like a theme or idea or something that they'd like us to interpret, we can work along with that
Hmm.
and present that rather than as much as we do like talking about our own work, we do appreciate that we have people listening in.
Yes. Basically,
Right,
chat. If you want to see anything in particular, let us know because we might want to make. We like a
um,
challenge.
yeah, yeah, I can make that more, but yeah. Um, you know what? For this week though, I'll do something a little different,
Hmm.
and I will um do a scenario rather than just a single monster
Hey.
because I don't run games a lot. I write a lot of stuff for level 1, level 2,
Hmm.
and I recently, coming off my weird redesign of goblins, I thought, right, let's make a thing of that because you can have some fun with it, a bit of fun with it. That's it. Just fish it out. There we are. Um, there we are. So, this encounter was like designed as part of a introductory / level 1 thing,
Hmm.
a level 1 to 2 thing, to showcase my interpretation of goblins a bit. It's a very simple premise. The the party is given the party is given the task to find a captured cleric from a nearby settlement. The setting I had in mind for it was vaguely ancient Greek inspired.
Yeah.
So it's sort of not just by the bronze coast rather than the sword coast. So everything's a bit more. So lots of satyrs,
Ooh.
lots of classical mythological creatures in there. Um, so the idea is this is like a part of the adventure where you find the captive and deal with the group of goblins that's currently got them sort of at knife point, which I learned just last night. A good DM working with a hostage situation is really hard to win as a party. So it doesn't take place in a big area because it's meant to be like a cave.
Yeah.
Now, ideally with so around a campfire, lots of loose crates, lots of small shrubby plants to really like basically it's a crowded cave.
Hmm.
Uh, the goblins in it are really more squatting in it than living there.
Squatters.
Uh, yeah. So the group of enemies is so it's one goblin brute, which is like a slightly. It's imagine a goblin that's a slightly stronger and a head taller, and naturally they think they're slightly better because that's how goblin egos work. A
Yeah.
couple of regular cave goblins and a couple of goblin spotters, basically goblins with bows and arrows. So nothing radically different, but just different enough for new players to sort of get a feel for the world, a bit of flavor,
Hmm.
how different things can be, given a homebrew setting.
Yeah.
And in theory, goblins, a party rolling average will flatten them in a fair fight.
Hmm.
The point being that the goblins don't want a fair fight. Um, their captive is where the NPCs gets a little interesting. Find is I base him loosely off like a sort of very Greek hoplite kind of look. What's his
Ooh.
name? Arcadia Spiro. So that's actually based off uh, the great site I use for names called Behind the Name.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Basically, it's a big old backlog of real names people have. You can go by nation or a
Ooh.
culture or background and just pick. So it just makes naming things for if you want a particular tone that much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he's a cleric of Dionysus, um, and he's sort of like a young up and coming cleric, very classically heroic, but he was ambushed and knocked out, and that's why he's being held captive. Um, the other thing is, if you're running with a smaller group of players, which sometimes happens, once you free the guy, he's there to effectively help you out as a neutral level 1 cleric,
Oh.
which in the past I've done for other one shots, and it's been really good to have an NPC that can fill a class role to a reasonable degree
Hmm.
without overshadowing the players. He's just there to help.
Yeah.
Um, Also, if the players like him, he can make a return appearance. He's already got his stats.
Hmm.
I didn't miss a beat on that one. The only, of course, real thing is he begins the scenario with like no attacks because he's tied and bound.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Um, Apart from that, it's all there. Let's anything new? No, nothing new there. Oh yes, there is. Also, I did include a new homebrew spell
Ooh.
because I like homebrew spells.
Mm-hmm.
Because just to get the flavor of the setting in, I came up with a spell called Whispering Vines, which is so level 1, so it's level appropriate. Um, Evocation spell, 60 foot. Um, it deals 2d6 magical bludgeoning, 2d6 magical piercing, and it's meant to resemble sort of like giant vines spring up from the ground, and they obviously they hurt because they're all spiky. Um, but what if it hits the target? They have to pass a Wisdom save,
Okay.
or all their surface level thoughts can be read by the caster while they're
Interesting.
within 60 feet of them. But yeah,
Huh.
keep in mind that's surface level, so it's not like this is
Yeah.
based off the old myth that Dionysus has the whole roots of the earth. So he literally can hear everyone's surface thoughts. That's why he's always spying for other gods.
Hmm.
So I made that into a sort of like an aggressive spell with a funny side effect.
Yeah.
But because the wording is surface level only, it's not giving players like absolutely everything.
Yeah.
It's also level 1, so it is to scale.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously upcast from level 2 onwards, but I didn't want to give them just like all spells from the player handbook. Wanted to feel a little bit different, and players like options, so I gave players more options.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in an ideal world with players that the players that are quite receptive, they thrash the ever loving hell out the goblins. The goblins, once they start losing the fight, will try and run away because they're cowardly little buggers, and they get an NPC to help them for a little bit. Uh, Although they have to find his gear, though, which, because it makes sense, is also in a nearby crate. Um, so it's a good way to. This is the time to introduce NPCs to sort of a dungeon crawl format for an early session,
Yeah.
and basically how to, if the DM plays it clever, they might hold the guy hostage. So it's going to be a bit of drama in that. So it's a nice versatile bit of scenario that I
Yeah.
think is quite good for new and returning players. Um, it's part of a bigger thing that may not go into. Um, so I think I've talked enough for there.
Yep.
What have you come up with for this week?
So I've technically got two things, but one is sort of an offshoot of the other as a point of necessity.
Right.
So, what I
Yep.
have for you today is the Vexing Scuttler, which is actually the
Mm-hmm.
name of a magic card, because I do my conversions from time to
Mm-hmm.
time. The Vexing Scuttler is an Eldrazi crab. So, in this case, it's an
Mm-hmm.
aberration beast. Those are its creature types, because sometimes creature types do matter in Dungeons and Dragons, occasionally. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's an Eldrazi type, unaligned because it is still, while it is an Eldrazified animal, it's still an animal, an aberration. Aberrations don't generally have alignments anyway, they're just weird, wibbly, unknowable things. Because it's a crab, it's got armor class of 20, because it's a crab, it's got a carapace. 45 feet of
Oh,
movement.
that is a big crab.
Yeah, yeah, it's huge. If you look at the image, yeah, it's like it's in the image. If you're seeing it, it's coming out of a ship. The legs. It's big. So I put it down as huge. It's got a swim speed of 20 feet because crabs are known for swimming, but not known for swimming terribly well. Hit points of 120
Well,
because big chunky lad.
don't they typically sort of walk on the floor, the sea floor?
I guess they do, but I mean they must have to swim sometimes,
They
right?
can that. They can swim. It's just
They just don't swim.
watching that
Yeah.
that new crab like Dark Souls like game with crabs.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy's got 22 strength because big lad. Dex of
Right.
12 because
Big
crabs
lad.
again aren't really known for being particularly dexterous. 25 con
Mm-hmm.
because crabs are known for being hardy because they're literally crabs. Intelligence of 2, it's still a beast. Wisdom of 12 because beasts often have high wisdom or, above average wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Charisma of 6 because, again, it is an aberration. Aberrations generally have slightly more. Put it down as CR10. I don't know if I should up that, but it only has one
Mm-hmm.
saving throw proficiency, which is Constitution, which is at a plus 11. Everything else it doesn't have. It's resistant to psychic damage and damage from non-hedron weapons, which is part of the lore. Hedrons are these weird, like, I guess, like magical binding stones. They're like anchors to reality or something that they're
Right.
used to bind the Eldrazi. Well, they used to like banish the Eldrazi, basically, which is why they're weak to Hedron weapons. And the
Okay.
Hedron weapon I did in another thing, I might dredge it out at some point. I made Hedron weapons deal extra damage to Eldrazi by themselves.
Good to that.
Condition immunities, frightened, charmed, and prone. I do, I put immune to prone because this has like, I mean, crabs have like 6 legs, and I'm pretty sure crabs could walk upside down. They seem like the type that could do that. So it's like you can't really knock them off their feet.
Also, something that big as well.
Yeah,
Try to
yeah,
knock it down.
yeah. 150 feet of dark vision, 80 feet of tremor sense. I can just add that as an extra
That.
point. Features. So this is the first one's actually based on its keyword ability emerge. So I'll make everything with emerge will have a similar ability. Vexing Scuttler may be mutated from another creature affected by Eldrazification. We'll go into that in a bit. Brackets. Choose a
Right.
creature at random to make the save against the emerge save. Repeat for each
Right.
creature until either one fails or all targets are exhausted. As in, you've gone through every single
Uh-huh.
target that could be. If no target was picked, repeat the process until a creature that could be Eldrazified fails the save. So essentially, if there's one will eventually mutate effectively. If there's only
Right.
one target, the save is automatically failed. So if there's only one target, they will fail the save. They cannot save; they're the only one
Okay.
there, which could fuck over a player potentially. When a Vexing Scuttler appears, each creature within 100 feet must make a DC 15 Charisma save. Basically, like, I figured because it's more of a you're imposing your will that you are what you are. On a failed save, the creature is
Mhm.
afflicted with Eldrazification Curse. We'll go into that. That's the separate thing that's talking about. So yeah, because that's what Eldrazi do. Some of them just spontaneously appear when like any of the Titans show up, but others tend to
Right.
mutate from affected creatures. So we think where emerge applies would probably be would be written into a scenario like there's an emerge chance here, etc., etc., and maybe like a few occasionally like a few valid targets, like an NPC you might have been traveling with might be an emerge target.
Mhm.
Second part is wild magical aura. This is referencing its second ability. That has to do with
Right.
instants of sorceries. So, as a lair action at the start of each of its turns, Vexing Scuttler casts one random third or level or lower level spell using Wisdom as its spellcasting modifier. So it casts a third or lower level spell at random, which could be anything. Could be a
Hmm.
healing spell, it could be
Okay.
fireball, it could be anything.
The
It could
target
even
random as well.
Yeah. So it would be able to choose it would be able to choose the target as if it was casting the spell normally. It's
Okay.
more yeah, but it could be anything from a like fireball to prestidigitation.
Hmm. That's
Um,
fun. So, any spell list as well.
any spell list, yep, 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 because it's wild magic. So
I think
um,
that's quite friend.
yeah,
I think it can be a bit
yeah.
peculiar.
I've given it Siege Monster. We all know what Siege Monster does because it's big. Of course, it's a Siege Monster.
Could be.
And then there's a final feature, Corruption from the Blind Eternities. This is something that all Eldrazi will get. When Vexing Scuttler moves into
Uh-huh.
a new space during its movement, if the terrain is not currently wastes, it becomes wastes
Right.
and is treated as difficult terrain. If you've ever seen anything to do with Eldrazi, if you look at the MTG like Wasteland, you see this like weird prismatic stuff.
Okay, that's the sign that Eldradi's been there,
Yeah, yeah, that's
kind of.
what Eldrazi do to planes, basically. They suck all the mana out and leave behind these weird, prismatic looking wastelands. This
Okay,
weird
but no
geometry
problem.
where Eldrazi's have been. So I figured, yeah, that's cool. And I really wanted to like make I wanted to start getting through my list of like magic cards that I picked up that I wanted to do D&D conversions of, and B, I wanted to make something that actually affects its environment.
No, I'm following.
So it has multi
Uh,
attack for its actions. So it can make any combination of 6 pincer or crush attacks since it has 6 legs.
oh,
Pincer
okay.
+8 to hit, reach 10 feet, one target. 1d6 +6 piercing. So it's not a high damage attack, but it has a lot of them. If this is the first time Pincer has been used this round, it may make an opposed grapple check against the target. So again, sort of a utility. Crush basically has the same kind of to hit stuff, but it doesn't have a secondary ability, but it does 1d12 +6 bludgeoning instead of piercing. So it does a little bit more damage
Mm-hmm.
on average, and it's a different damage type to compensate for the fact that it doesn't have a secondary effect. And then Vitality
Okay.
Tendrils, which isn't part of its multi-attack, it's a separate thing. It's an AO. It's a target creature within 60 feet must make a DC 18 Dex save. This attack does 3d8 plus 3 points of necrotic, having a success. The Vexing Scuttler heals equal to the damage caused by this attack. So basically, like, sucks the life out of something.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah. And then... So that's that. And then... so Eldrazification... maybe so it's an exotic transmogrification type curse. May be cured with any remove curse spell. Each hour, the creature must make a DC X charisma save, where X is the number of hours since initial affliction. So it will start at DC 1.
Right.
If you so obviously 1 is automatically a fail on saves anyway. So it starts at 1, and then each hour it gets more and more difficult to save against.
Right.
On a failed save, they become a random Eldrazi creature. Bearing in mind, random, not equal to their CR or anything, or challenge rating or level. It could be anything, except, say, a Titan, because the Titans are, like, unique.
Right.
So it could be anything from a Scion, which you like the really tiny little guys that aren't very strong at all, to something like a Vexing Scuttler. In
Okay.
addition, whenever an emerged creature would occur, the afflicted creature must make a DC X Charisma save, where X is 5 plus the number of action hours since affliction. on a failed save, that creature becomes the emerge target. That's where emerge comes in. Basically, up the save
Okay.
against emerge specifically, and still keeping the
Right.
number of hours system.
Okay. Oh, what's the fix for that? I'm assuming like remove
Yeah,
curse
it's
or
remove curse. Yeah, yeah, just standard remove.
replacement?
Any
That
remove
checks.
curse will do, or anything. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily use a wish spell on it, but you know, but you
It could.
could. But and I guess a DM could always put in like some other thing, like a ritual or something, to get rid of it, or maybe an alchemical thing. I mean, there's like you could probably do a potion to remove curse and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm followed.
Yeah. So,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah. Carry on.
So skirmish report, folks. So,
Mhm.
how has we spoke briefly about Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. How have you
Yes.
been getting on with your duels and stuff? Do you want to talk like more about it, perhaps?
Yeah. I'm currently on a roughly 50-50 win loss. To be honest.
That's actually pretty good, actually.
Keep in mind, this is not against real players yet, so
Yeah,
I'm literally. So it's sometimes you just get a bad first hand, and especially
yeah,
with the Blue Eyes Max deck.
mm,
I've been finding out the hard way that if you don't get the right spells and summon cards, you're just not getting your Blue Eyes out, which is
yeah,
all it really does. Um, and with the synchro stuff, similar problem. Sometimes at least, where there's only like what, 6 tuna monsters in there.
yes, yeah. It's like sometimes getting a hold of a tuner is a bit. Ooh,
So sometimes you go fishing for tuna monsters and they're deliberately a bit rubbish,
mm,
frankly. At least by themselves. That's what I do while you have it. So I've run into a few weird situations with the deck where because this is based on the old Yusei deck, um,
yes,
like the classic synchro stuff, um, where it's really easy for me to synchro summon into is it Junk Warrior,
mm-hmm.
but it's got a what's I'm trying to find the card. It's got but basically it's got a big stone monster in his deck,
Yeah,
which has a really fun effect where it can take the attack of another monster and sort of equip that card to itself like a power up.
mm-hmm.
He's got two of them in the deck as well. Um, so I've had to run into a weird situation where I could have used it for a synchro summon, but it wouldn't have been worth the effort because if I've got two of those monsters around the field, but 3,000 attack because there's a 1,800 couple of 1,800 beaters in there. Why would I switch up for 2,100 attack Junk Warrior?
Yeah, yeah. I get that.
So that has happened once or twice. Let's have a look actually. Yeah, just found it now. Hang on. Does it have Quillbot Hedgehog? I haven't seen that and been played yet. Huh. Find that. Ah, okay, yeah.
Certified crawlbot hedgehog moment.
Yeah, some of these aren't in the structure deck I've been working with.
Ah,
Um, but only a handful though.
hmm.
Yeah, so I'm having some growing pains with synchro in general because I really wanted to learn a newer format. So I don't mind tuna synchro monsters. I just think I'll need to get more packs so I can actually you know eventually get my own deck with enough tuna monsters. That seems to be the problem I currently have with it.
Yeah, I get you.
Like apart from that, the deck's actually quite solid. It's quite a fair bit of balance to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's got a handful of like classic beta monsters, sort of like 1.5 to 1,800 odd.
Hmm.
Um, it's got a few tricks up its sleeve, but I won't say it's like a real powerhouse deck. It's sort of, I guess it's sort of like a Yugi archetype where it does a little bit of everything quite well.
Yeah.
It's uh, it's been a bit of a fun learning curve, but I just need the in-game currency to get my own tuner deck on the go because I picked up some of the Blackwing structure deck as well to give that a crack.
Yeah, the Blackwing structure deck isn't. New Blackwings do not play like old Blackwings do, like, at all. They're more like banish based now. I struggled with that at first. I was like, this is not how I remember Blackwings.
Yeah, I've never played either, so
Ah,
I'm going in with completely new eyes. I just remember people saying at some point they were very good, so I thought, okay, I
yeah.
want to try Synchro decks. Let's see how this goes.
Mhm.
But
So,
I don't mind it.
yeah.
It does feel a little bit like jumping into the deep end because people have been playing obviously Matador for some time before I
Yes.
bothered starting.
There's also a lot of
So I'm
people
expecting a lot of
in the
losses.
lower ranks that so a lot of what we call you know what smurfing is, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of that occurs because if you notice very early on, you get a load of gems. So instead of struggling and making, and really grinding to get packs for a new deck, for the new meta, they'll just make a new account.
Huh? Oh, right. Okay.
So you get a load. That's why you get even in like bronze and silver people playing like good or even meta decks. It's like, and I really kind of want like whoever, I don't know if it's Konami or like an outsourced company to like deal with that. Like, okay, okay, your IP address or whatever can only have so many like accounts because seriously, stop.
Yeah, just trying to game the system at that point.
Yeah, and it's annoying
Yeah.
as a noob, but so to speak. Well, not a noob, but a casual player to constantly go up
Yeah.
against really higher power decks in really low ranks and just get my ass handed to me over and over again.
Yeah, stuff that would flat out lock me out from summoning
Yeah,
or using spell cards or
yeah,
anything I could use to win anything worth a damn.
yeah. Um, I do recommend the bundles because the bundles do have some really good cards in them as well, like some good staples that might help you out.
Okay.
If you can get used to hand traps, I don't like them, but if you can get used to hand traps, probably a good idea. Because
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
yeah, because I think Ash Blossom whatever is in one of the bundles, and if you Ash Blossom the right thing the opponent plays, they'll just straight up scoop because they can't do anything. There are certain decks that will just go, well, I guess I can't do anything now.
Is is there like a I wouldn't be surprised if there was a training module just for Ash Blossom because of
Um,
how infamous that is.
I don't actually think there is in
Oh,
solo mode. They should really
okay.
do stuff like that. Like,
That's been in the meta long enough now, right? That
yeah,
people expect to run up against it.
yeah. People really, there should be like a training rundown of like, okay, here's some like decks that, here's some like good decks
You
to go up against.
you
The game will
expect to run
teach
against.
you the best time to play Ash Blossom against them.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that because I'm pretty sure the basic structure decks don't have anything to deal with that. To be honest.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Structure decks wise, I think at the moment. So I've played with a few of them. I played with the Immortal Glory, which is the zombies. The zombies deck is
Right.
also pretty cool. That's actually quite synchro based as well. That's very synchro based
Cool.
with the Plague Spreader zombie stuff. That's a bit simpler than Blackwings actually because it's very simple graveyard strats. Um, I have
Now
done
that
Glorious Max
is a
once.
thought
Yeah. Hmm?
because I do like my pumpkin cards,
Yes.
and they could just modernize that deck.
Yeah. Um, I've used Origin of the Galaxy because I got it for one of them for free. Origin of the Galaxy is
Right.
interesting, but it needs some other things. I feel like it needs some of the other XYZs to make it go from good to great. It is powerful, but it needs a few more of its big monsters, like for its big rank
Right.
8 options. Um, what else have I tried? A cybernetic successor, which is the Cyber Dragon one. It's not good with only one copy. You really need to get it like 3 times to get the staples for it. So then you can build it either as
Right.
Cyber Darkness or as pure Cyber Dragon. Personally, I don't think that Cyber Dark with the Cyber stuff works very well because it just makes the deck really clunky. Like, don't get me wrong, bringing out the Cyber Dark End Dragon thing using both Cyber End and Cyber Dark Dragon, very powerful card. The number of times you're going to successfully pull that off is like one in a dog's leg.
Well, that sounds like a lot of effort for one card as well.
Yeah, yeah. I've also tried the I was gonna say Exodia, Utopia deck. I wasn't particularly impressed with the Utopia deck. I think it doesn't really have a lot of the good Utopia stuff. It focuses on the
Okay.
ZW things, which is a bit like the Zexal weapons are interesting, but they're not particularly good. You're better off going with sort of
Right.
Utopia, the lightning, and the rank up style of Utopia is much more powerful than the ZW stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I've been playing lately though is none of those. I've been playing something very stupid that I call Frog the Jam Voltron.
Oh, I saw this.
So the basic objective of the deck, I will show you. I don't know if I can print screen this. Maybe. Let's see if I can print screen this. And put it in the chat, maybe. I might just export the deck list at some point, maybe, and put it in the chat. But it's a meme. It's definitely a meme. Ah, there we go. So I'm putting it in memes. I'm putting it in
Just form
memes.
the frogs.
So basically, you've got 3 Frog the Jam, obviously. I mean, it's called Slime Toad now, but it's called Frog the Jam. It's got Salvage to get back Frog the Jam, Dark Core Dealings to make the deck a bit more consistent. So you can sort of basically make it a 30-odd card deck, 37 card deck. I've only got one hidden armory, which searches for fields for your equips. Unexpected Die can bring out Slime Toad, and there's basically a bunch of really good equips like Mage Power and the Twin Swords of
Hmm.
Flashing Light and Power of the Guardians. Basically, the whole point is to make Frog the Jam very, 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 very big. Like, makes Blue Eyes look weak, kind of big. And just smack. And hope that your opponent is so confused by the fact that they're getting hit in the face with a level 2 normal monster that they somehow forget how to play the game and you just win.
If no one's really going to counter the meta of Frog the Jam,
Yeah. Eventually, I'll add in some sort of more control stuff to do with water monsters. But the challenge basically was for me make a deck that uses only one monster and make sure that monster is like as memey as possible. It was either this or Skull Servant. I thought Frog
yeah,
the
that
Jam is
could be fun.
funnier. Frog the Jam is funnier. And I actually won a ranked game with it the other day. I was in XYZ Cup in the event challenge, and I somehow managed to beat someone to death with Frog the Jam. I think my opponent was just like, I can't. It's not doing a whole lot. I can't actually counter it. I can't counter it because it's not doing much. It's just big. Because their deck was like based on like negating effects and stuff and stalling.
Right.
But it's like, it doesn't really matter when I have a really, really big frog. Yeah, I'm gonna negate your monster's effect. What monster's effect?
Need that. We need to have like need a new archetype for that. Just a Frog the Jam archetype.
Yes. Frog the
The Ace ones are
jamming.
just big frog.
Big, big, big frog. Big frog.
It's just like a giant. It's just like you'd go into Photoshop, take the Frog the Jam, and you just upscale it,
You just put it on a background and it looks really, really big. Like, make it look the size of a field
zoom
or
in
something.
slightly. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. So that's Skirmish Report. Explorers Guild. Do we have any locales that we want to look into this week?
Yes. Yes. I would like to. I got a bit on. Oh, pardon me. Got a bit on a setting that I think is really cool. And just a case of AD&D getting really out there with its it's one of the original settings for like second edition or AD&D that I think would be kind of great today,
Uh-huh.
but it would be a victim of Wizards of the Coast botching the delivery.
Hmm.
It's called Al Qadim, and it's then suggests it's very Arabian Nights and Sinbad the Sailor sort of inspired,
Yeah.
and I'm like, coming complete with genies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's really it's quite an interesting read because it's a much older edition. Actually, reading through it, you know, like how the new ones you expect from like a monster manual and stuff.
Yeah.
That wasn't necessarily the thrust of all the D&D books, from what I've seen.
Uh-huh.
They love to talk about the setting in fine detail, though. So you get a load of stuff about the culture of Al Qadim, um, which is imagine a more like egalitarian version of the ancient Middle East. That's sort of what you get, but you still have that a little bit of that hardcore patriarchal idea of men are the heirs of the family. Familial honor is super important. That's still there, but they just sort of toned down the worst elements, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Um, there's a whole thing about honor and hospitality, which I quite like. It's there's like an unwritten rule of the setting is even if you really don't like someone, if they need your help, but and you are able to help them, you should at least try and offer to do it.
Hmm.
So even though it's one of the settings where there is a lot of civil war and strife and genies and nobles being nobles and all that, there's this culture of you still got to help your fellow man, which is kind of again, I do quite like how sort of like how Tolkien went massively into details about how hobbits like apple pies and stuff. It's that level of deep.
Oh, I love that.
But I think, but that is actually to its strength because there's not much up for mystery. I actually do quite like that. Also, if you like genies and stuff, there is all the information on genies you could ever want, minus the stat block, which for me is a bit weird. But as a setting lore book, cannot fault it.
Hmm.
Um, it's yeah, it's honestly, it's a setting. I'll try and find some. I think the PDF is one of those. It's so old you can just grab the PDF of it.
Yeah.
So that's so yeah, it's one of the things. I think the only reason I'm kind of glad it's not been redone is because it is, inspired by Arabian Nights, Prince of Persia, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
and it's meant to be a version of the fantastical Middle East, which by today's standard would mean somebody would be scouring the team would be scouring through the content for anything that could be deemed insensitive to people that vaguely resemble people in the artwork.
Yeah.
So I think it would completely undo like the whole themes and ideas that makes the setting interesting in the first place.
Hmm.
It's one of those that I'm glad they're not touching it because they would do like a watered down, less interesting version where everyone gets on all the time, which I just find it just doesn't find very interesting as settings go. Because if a setting has no strife of any kind, why are you bothering adventuring there? What's the reason you're fighting anything at all?
Yeah.
Like in a world where everyone has everything, why adventure and risk your life or anything at all? Just bumble around like a hobbit and eat and drink and be happy. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. I get that.
So it's like yeah, there were complaints about Dark Sun because, especially by newer players, because it is that hardcore and that open about having slaves as just a thing in world. But the whole idea was it's very expressly saying the writers aren't in any way glorifying slavery. And Al
Mm.
Qadim's that they do mention slavery is a thing that happens because it's based on the ancient Middle East, which is quite infamous for having huge slave markets. But it's also done in a way that it's done to reference the fact that it is a thing that happened historically or appears in fiction set in the not quite Middle East at the time.
Hmm.
So it's not because they're being a dick or they're endorsing any of it. But I think that would fly over people's heads now, sadly, because Twitter's like and other social media sites. It would kind of ruin it for me.
Yeah, yeah, I get you.
It's a honestly a rare example of AD&D being legitimately better than a lot of the mod settings. With formatting aside, uh, also it's just a really rich setting that you could read it for hours and still miss on something because they cover everything from local food, local culture, nobility. There's a whole section on genie magic and how people even get access to how getting a genie in the first place. It's a huge thing, but I think I'd be very happy with it if I bought it at the time full price.
Yeah.
That's Al Qadim. If you like Prince of Persia and stuff or Arabian Nights or the saw, Van did you ever see that it must have been the mid 2000s Sinbad movie?
I've never seen a Sinbad movie all the way through.
No, I remember.
Yeah.
Fair enough. If you're into that whole genre of fiction, Al Qadim is absolutely something you should be ever looking into. The PDF might still be free.
Hmm.
Uh, I would say, um, you know, I think I'm legally obligated to say don't pirate, but have a look anyway if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, unless you want to go looking for a live copy of
Hmm.
an AD&D module, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's Al Qadim.
Yeah. So the setting that I want to talk about isn't specifically a D&D setting again. It's also something that I don't think many people would consider as a setting for a tabletop system. And also something that
Yeah,
probably I said D&D as a sort of I guess a faux pas accidentally because this is more sort of suited for sci-fi settings. But I
right.
think if you unbrickify it, the lore and all the various things in Lego space might be cool for a sci-fi setting because over the past sort of 30, no, 40 years, there's been a lot of Lego space stuff.
That is that is an interesting take. Is that the weird Mars stuff? Because while I was still collecting Lego, I remember seeing adverts for stuff like that, and that
So
was
Lego Space
one
has
of the
a
sets I never got.
huge number of sub themes. So let me look at it on the wiki.
I'm going to do a quick search myself.
Um,
So,
so
space.
here we go. Later themes. So obviously got the main Lego space stuff, which is very sort of space opera, traditional like starfight looking vehicles and launch things and research. More sort of Star
Mhm.
Trek than anything else looking kind of stuff mainly. You have got sort of fighters, but it's more. There's no sort of enemies in the OG Blue Space stuff. But then as they went
Yeah.
along, they made things like Blacktron, which were like
Oh,
the very clear sort of bad guy looking things, renegades and space pirates, and then they did the
oh,
first space police to combat them.
I yeah. That's I'm just looking at some of the images, and I'm remembering some of the '90s stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, I never owned this one. But I do remember that weird USS Enterprise looking thing.
yeah,
Because that was the weird Lego era where everything was bright green plastic.
yeah.
Like
Um,
every window was
That sort of transparent neon
like
green.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Blacktron green, because that's like Blacktron 2. So I think Blacktron 1 was like yellow, and then there's like, nah, yellows kind of suck. We go neon green. Um, because
Oh,
they also
that's
did
some
the
proper nostalgia.
M-Tron as like another sort of repair and rescue faction, kind of like Fire Brigade. And this in the 90s was where they introduced like the monorail system, which never really took off. But I think in like world building terms, a futuristic society that uses monorails is kind of cool.
That's pretty funny.
Um,
That's unique.
yeah.
Oh
And then they got things like
wow.
ice planet, so they took like ice stuff and figured out, skis and how, different
Yeah,
factions might adapt to different environments. Spyrius with things like spies and things like that. Unitron, Explorians, they had aliens. They started expanding to alien type stuff. Then
oh
UFO, insectoids, and life on Mars for more different types of
yeah,
aliens. Mars mission, then Space Police 3, where they've really expanded on like the looks and feels of different aliens. That's when we started doing the molded sort of head minifigure heads. They started expanding sort of the
yeah.
species and coolness of aliens, and really brought Space Police in the modern kind of arc, where they made effectively the police almost as sort of bad as the aliens themselves. You see in a lot of the advertisement where police brutality is a huge problem in Space Police, which I think is cool. I like that kind of nuance. It's not, because for particularly for sci-fi settings, the idea that yes, they could be the good
Okay,
guys,
so
they could also be like despots, but
yeah, right. So I just found this really good like article on like the history of the Lego franchise
yeah,
and just the space stuff. The stuff I was thinking of, apparently that's under UFO,
right, yeah,
1997, apparently. So that's where I start getting proper nostalgia for the bits. I remember like those were the sets I would have loved as like a 10-year-old, you know.
hmm, um,
And there were insectoids as well,
yeah,
to a lesser degree. I vaguely remember,
hmm,
just looking at them. But really, stopped at 1999. Oh, that's sad,
yeah,
really.
so
Wait,
like,
hang on. Let me
yeah,
check this. Uh, when was Lego Island made?
that's a good question.
I, I'm gonna Google this. 1997.
Wow.
That checks out. That's my era of Lego right there.
See,
So
my
that's I
era is
guess
yeah,
yeah.
my era is like Lego Island
Sorry.
2 more so than the first one.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
following on from all of that, there was Alien Conquest and Galaxy Squad, which was like basically Galaxy Squad was kind of. I mean, we was watching it the other day at your place.
Hmm,
Starship Troopery kind of stuff. So like
nice.
insecty aliens, and then Alien Conquest was more sort of like War of the Worldsy and traditional like like 60s kind of alien UFOs and stuff
Oh
again.
yeah.
So it kind of went back down to earth. So there's a huge range. You got everything from sort of space opera, like the what do you call it? Not Mystery
And
Science
good,
Theater.
right.
Yeah, the really sort of Star Trekky kind of stuff to B movie to Star Warsy and almost Star Wars type stuff going on within this theme. And I feel like as an
Yes.
RPG system, as an RPG setting, you can get a lot of mileage out of it because I think there's a lot of lore to it, but there's not so much lore. There's not like named characters and stuff for the most part, so you can
You
absolutely
know,
ad lib
yeah.
and riff. It's there's enough there for you to build off of basically, rather than having a set. If you wanted a setting where you could homebrew some things, but didn't have to homebrew everything, kind of situation. All you have to do
Oh
is
no, I'm
names and
following.
stuff for the most part.
I'm just getting nostalgia for like Lego sets I never had. It's like a really cool rabbit hole. I'm just
Mm.
looking up the one of the last Lego sets I really bothered with would have been like the Himalaya mystery stuff.
Oh yeah, adventurers, right?
I still have the like with one of the old Lego Yetis knocking about somewhere.
Wow. Um,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I could definitely see a lot of D&D inspiration because they
yeah.
just like took a small cast of characters based on like very Indiana Jones style archetypes
Mhm.
and said, "Here's a cool adventure in a setting. There was like, was it would say the late 90s, so they've had like, is it Johnny Thunder
Yeah,
kind of era stuff? Yeah, this Dinosaur Island. Here's a cool dude. That sold well because
yeah,
dinosaurs always sell well. Um, they
yeah.
no, does that still a thing they do with Lego where they theme the ever loving hell out of like independent settings, or is it all IP pre-existing franchise
Oh no,
IPs now?
there's still things like Ninjago and stuff like that kicking
Oh yeah,
about.
yeah,
But I think the issue is now compared to before, like near and sort of the more sort of recent themes. Like with still like
yeah.
Dreams, everyone's a named character, so it's like it's that problem of you don't really get much room for the imagination. You don't get room to really fill in the blanks because there aren't many blanks to fill in. If that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah, I'm following. There's a bit
It's
of Marvel syndrome where there's 2,000
Yeah,
characters
I.
and you can't
It's like
have
I
them
get
all.
it because they're doing everything's a TV show now for a lot of their original IPs, so you kind of have to fill in a lot of the blanks. But it from a
Right.
play and gaming standpoint, from a world standpoint, it's nice to have blanks to fill in to make something your own. That's kind of the point of Lego.
Well, yeah, that I didn't think every because if no one has enough money in the world to buy every Lego set, even when you're the age to be ideally buying the most Lego you'll ever want,
Yeah,
you're going to end up mixing and matching stuff.
yeah.
That's just gonna happen. So realistically, you're not going to have all of the same unless you're all that dedicated to Lego and you're like 10. You're probably not going to have all of a single set.
Hmm.
So yeah,
But yeah, going back to space. So I've been looking at it lately
yeah.
because obviously it's the year of Lego Space, basically. So they bring out a bunch of new
Uh,
Lego Space stuff, which sort of the new Lego Space sort of theme is very much based on, I guess, sort of a space base, basically. So kind of a hydroponics, kind of like if you've seen that Doctor Who episode, The Waters on Mars kind of thing. You know, the big sort of
oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
domes and the walk pathways, etc., and the Mars and the rovers and things for traveling on the moon and various planets. That kind of theming, something more industrial and closer to what might be realistically in the vein of science rather than science fiction kind of thing. Yeah, it's more science fiction than science fantasy, like some of the other stuff. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Now I'm just could you just do a Lego stream? I just want to just like somehow get a hand on some retro Lego bits and just waste like 12 hours of my day.
I'd be down
Um,
for Lego stream sometime.
I guess.
We could maybe maybe make it as a goal or something for funding or whatever. We just get like a really big set, or maybe like buy a job lot bucket of like huge bunch of Lego pieces and just like stream for 5 hours, see what we can build.
Yeah, oh,
We'll call it like a joke thing. It's
yeah,
like
I've never really thought about it, but
Yeah,
it just occurred to me. Maybe Lego is the greatest toy ever made
yeah.
because it's like I guess Fortnite, but with more focus.
It's analog Fortnite.
Yeah, it is because there was 1,001 plus different styles of Lego,
Yeah.
um, and because it was literally the focus was do what you want. There's more to it than just buy the sets and build it exactly as intended.
hmm
So that and
It's like exactly
during the
like
age, yeah.
Yeah, going back to again Lego Space, I bought the recent Lego Space construction mech, and all I did was I
Hmm.
swapped out one of the building things for weapons, replaced the back battery things with a green, and I basically converted it into a style of mech that wouldn't be out of place in Exoforce because I love that theme. And again, because Exoforce
I
again
mean,
has
yeah,
like very industrial looking mechs for the bad guy robots. So, well, this is an industrial looking space mech. I wonder what I could do with this.
yeah. Oh wow. So I love it when like Lego of all things has like really deep lore because you never expect it.
Yeah. I think that the elephant in the room in that regard is Bionicle. Bionicle had like so much lore that it almost like
Yeah,
Ouroboros itself in terms of it kind of it was it was good because of the lore, and it stopped because there was just too much lore for new fans to get into. Basically, that was sort of the official Lego statement. Like, people aren't getting into this theme now because the people who were stayed with it are getting older and are buying Lego less. And the new people, the
yeah,
new fans, they can't get into the series. They don't have a foothold starting point because you've got all this. You basically need to have a degree in Bionicle to know what's going on.
yeah. I think what doesn't help Bionicle's case is that it pretty much made up its own language
Oh yeah, the
that
Matoran
only
language.
exists in
Yeah,
itself.
yeah.
So you have to know. It's like getting to Vampire the Masquerade.
It's no,
If you don't know
it's like getting into the
all
Star
these
Trek
terms,
RPG and trying to learn Klingon.
yeah, it's like if you don't know all the Bionicle terms to what things are, it's like I don't even know. You could what the guy be into the Heroes era stuff,
Yeah,
and they'd still be using terms you have no idea because it's referencing an older
yeah. Maybe
thing
like
and going, remember that thing? Like, no, because this weren't around for that.
you
And
must
because
go.
it's
You must go and consult Turaga and ask him
yeah,
where to find the
yeah,
Kanohi of big limbs. What?
yeah,
To defeat the
yeah,
Makuta
exactly.
Rakazaga.
Yeah, it sounds vaguely Islander or Maori Hawaiian. You're good.
Yeah.
But then again, it's really hard to follow if you didn't have any context to it.
Yeah. Or it's, oh yeah, you need
But
to know about Kazani and all this stuff to understand why this villain exists. Or Vizon only
I mean, you didn't
exists
see
in
the
this form because he got split from Vizok because of the Mask of Life, etc., etc., etc. Also, Tan is a bunch of like nanobots now because that happened.
yeah, it's like comic books. Why you didn't read that one miniseries,
Yeah.
uh, Batman, the Dark and the Spooky? That would explain this comic made 10 years after it, though. That you need to
S-
read both, though.
Speaking of Batman, I don't know
Yeah.
if like DC's like multiverse is completely like interconnected, but it's not too far fetched to say that Bionicle might be canon to Batman, since it is also a DC.
Oh
It
my,
started
what?
as a Bionicle started as a DC comic. The first comics were made by
Oh,
DC Comics.
oh, didn't I? You know what? I don't. I really hope I didn't lose it somewhere.
Yeah,
But I had the uh, I have a couple of the of the original Bionicles comics
nice.
that you got with was it the Borat cowl? Was it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I had one of those comics.
Hmm.
Probably got lost somewhere. Sadly, that would be. I wonder how much I could flog that for now.
Hmm. Yeah, so because the thing is, I think it's implied in things like Batman the Brave and the Bold that basically near enough everything in DC Comics is like its own universe or something that's like can be
Right,
connected through the Speed Force or Batman's weird tech or etc. etc. It's like
right.
so in theory, Bionicle could be canon to Batman in
I
theory.
I want to see that. I want to see that crossover. There's Batman brooding in the corner, and there's a load of Lego figures.
Um, Also, I will probably talk more about it another time. I do want to do an Explorers Guild section on Bionicle specifically because there is a huge
Oh,
amount of lore on that, and
right. That'd be funny.
I feel like Bionicle should have a tabletop RPG.
I would like to, just for nostalgia's sake alone, I would play the hell out of that. Have some fun with it.
Just getting together with six other people, making a Toa team, smashing face as you do.
Oh, you don't want to play as the little, want to play as the little villager dudes?
The Mator, yeah, I guess that would also be kind of funny.
Oh, you know, it'd be a really good game that I'm sure they marketed at one point. They know that there's the little disc throwing Torrens things.
Yes.
Make literally like it's sort of like Blood Bowl, but swap out Blood Bowl for the that sport instead.
Oh.
In the movies, they made a huge deal out of that. That was like their football.
Hmm.
It's the first movie, like Mask of Light. I remember that being like a major plot point.
Hmm.
To be fair, it is super funny how like even in like the very original Bionicle, it's like here's a dictionary of new words that only they will use or make
Holy
no sense
shit.
anywhere else.
Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. So I'm looking. I googled it. There is a group called Red Star Gaming who have basically made a tabletop RPG based on the first generation of Bionicle, and also a
Oh,
war
nice.
game based on Bionicle. Somehow, I might
What?
have to
I'm looking.
favorite this. I will report back on this. This might be something I do for Tabletop Book Club, next week because
I have to know
this
now.
I need to explore.
I'm having a look at that. That that sounds that sounds really funny. Oh no, it's a Reddit post.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Red Star Games. Okay, and it looks very cool actually. This art
Yeah,
here.
their website design is on point.
Let's have a look. What? Oh, look at the masks. Go look at the masks. Bionicle.
Yes.
They sell masks and everything.
Wait, really? Hang on a minute. I gotta look this up.
Yeah, they have a fort. They have a shop.
Wait. Uh, Forge shop, right? Wait a minute. Hold up. Oh, yeah, because I guess some of these a lot. There's like a lot of people in the Bionicle community that do like 3D printing and stuff now and painting and stuff. Wow. Oh man. Oh, I might. Ah.
We're gonna have to. We might have to play this.
Yeah. Yeah, because some of these are like based on some of the actual masks, just recolors, and then some of these like completely unique or like either original or based on stuff from the lore. For example, like the Iden space version, or the I think it's the Elder. Yeah, some of these are really cool looking. Oh yes, the Calyx, which is that was what's his name, Jala's mask. Yeah, this is really cool. I didn't know they had a oh my days.
This looks actually very thought out.
Wow. I mean, their RPG
Yeah.
must be really good if they've got like this many just in masks alone. They've got all this care and attention. If this is how the
There's a
store
free
looks,
download. Um, there's a free Google Docs, by the way, for
oh,
the actual rules on their site,
that is cool.
which I'm having a quick look over. Yeah, this is really in depth. Ah, okay. That's actually really neat. I like this.
I feel like I might have to get this printed and play at some point.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Okay, this is what I like. This is what I like Lego. It's just like you're in a rabbit hole of I didn't have that. That looks interesting. And, oh, and then there's this, and there's this, and you're like 2 hours later,
Hmm.
you've like not only just like, remembered some stuff you were like 10, but it's like what this went on. Why is there 200 more of these?
Yeah.
It's doing all right now. Just like because a lot of like people weirdly that are actually in the market to buy physical toys are not sometimes kids anymore.
Yeah.
Because like because now everything's digitized. Obviously, more
Hmm.
kids are quite content with the digital version, which is fine. That's just changing the garden, and all that.
Yeah.
so toys fill that weird void of you get a lot more adult collectors than you do
Kids now, yeah.
kids that use them. Yeah,
I think it's nowadays you have the show and digital thing second, and then the toys are an accessory to that. So things like Paw Patrol does really
yeah.
well with its toys because of the show, rather than the show doing really well because of the toys. It's like the show doesn't
Yeah, I
exist to
can
sell
see that.
toys. The toys exist to sell the show.
Yeah, another thing I've noticed as well, especially Paw Patrol's a good example of it. Um, every few years, what you tend to find, like kids' entertainment, is every few years you get something like Peppa Pig or then the Bluey. It's basically a show that is just a monster hit
Yeah.
every few years or so. And it becomes the new popular kids thing.
Hmm.
And they tend to be sort of popular years after the fact as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is, I think, weirdly because the character because a lot of these things like this hasn't changed since like forever, but these shows are led by their characters and how like recognizable they are.
Hmm.
So you'll see like I see a lot of like a lot of entertainment companies, especially kids entertainment companies. They will have like a whole stable of performers and costumes based on like these kid shows because they're just they're the like monster hits from like maybe at oldest about 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That's like half the fame right there.
Yeah. It's like the
Though
Wiggles
now
was
I'm
a
thinking
really
about
big
it.
thing, and then things like that. So
Oh yeah,
becomes a hit out of
like
nowhere.
yeah, yeah. So there'll be another one in a few years, almost certainly. Um, though now I'm thinking on it, it would be very janky to walk around in a Bionicles costume. I feel
Yeah. So
that would be
I'm
a
gonna
that's a
confess
challenge.
something. Years ago, I had one of the official like foam Vakama masks that I used to like
Oh,
love.
amazing!
Yeah.
Right.
I think I had his weapon too, like the foam one. I bought like a Lego store like
Oh,
ages ago. I was like,
amazing.
yeah. But yeah, some people have done like legit Barnacle cosplay and it looks some like actual like really high quality. It looks
Amazing.
really cool. It's like, whoa.
Imagine that'd be very stiff to walk in because they all have
Yeah.
that weird robot walk going on.
Yeah, which I guess makes sense since they're biomechanical creatures.
All the now I'm thinking on it though. Still, I don't know when stilt walkers became popular, but that's just a thing.
Hmm.
Um, was it the Rakshi that were like the really tall, lanky ones, with big legs?
Yep. Kind of like
Imagine
almost
like some sort of
serpentine
stilt
looking
walker get up.
guys.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine like some sort of imagine stilt walker get up for that.
Oh, you'd have to
It'd be slightly
you'd be like
terrifying.
hunchbacked the entire time on like stilts.
You would. There is the way that is sometimes done is like when you see when like zoos and stuff amusement parks have like performers with like the fake dinosaur get-ups, the ones that like walk about.
Yeah.
They are doing what you say they are. They're like literally hunched over and they're looking down on literally like an iPad arrangement.
Hmm.
Um, where they're basically where they're looking down at the camera is set in the dinosaur's mouth, so that's how they know where they're going.
Yeah.
That would be weirdly how that could work, but you're also on stilts, which would be a bit unnerving.
Yeah. Because your center of gravity is gonna be really weird.
Yeah, that'd be some real sturdy stilts.
Anyway,
Little about, but yeah, right.
we will probably
That
talk
was
about this
a
in more
really interesting
detail
rabbit
next
hole.
time in Tabletop Book Club. I'm good because there is a lot of system manuals for this. We've got a quick start guide, we've got a rules guide, we've got a species index, we've got a subtypes and archetypes index, elemental index, powers index, Kanoe index, equipment index, crafting guide, machines index, buildings index, environmental guide, NPC index,
Rahi index, which is the beasts, and the templates index, and the extra planar index, and the character sheet. There is a lot of material for me to go through, so I'm going to need a week to process all of this. And on that
Yeah, you're
bombshell...
going to get your PhD in the history of Bionicles,
Yeah.
and see you next week again.
Yeah, we're gonna rush up on Bionicle lore, and we'll see you guys next time. We'll see. That'll be next week because that's all we've got time for this week.
See you next week, everyone.
Right. I think we will raid. Ooh, who should we raid this time? You know what? Maybe I should look for somebody playing Bionicle game. Is
That's appropriate.
anyone
You give them
playing
enough paper.
Bionicle? Please tell me someone's playing
Heroes,
Bionicle.
maybe.
Maybe? I feel like...
Is that the latest one? Because I'm way behind on that.
I think
What's
it
the
is the
generation
most...
after that?
No, I think that is the most recent Bionicle main game, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't think anyone's playing anything Bionicle right now. That's a shame. That's a shame. So I think we will raid. I think we'll just raid Eldritch Blast again. They always seem to be live after we are. So actually, what am I doing? I should just go on their thing and then just raid that way, rather than trying to accidentally misspell their thing. Right. So the raid message is below, folks. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to support us with liking, commenting, subscribing to the YouTube, etc., etc. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye all.
Right, have a good week.
Yeah, have a good week. Bye! Okay.
That is not my name.
Right, then.
Oh.
I love KJ's outfit. I considered actually doing a KJ cosplay,